We're going to talk about the different modes of 802.11. Over time, there have been several different versions of 802.11. We call those modes. You'll see over here in this column the different modes that are available for the various wireless networks that are within range of me. So you'll see we've got A and B, G, N. There's also AC that I'm not seeing here in this particular list. Now, those different versions or modes of 802.11 specify some different ways that the protocol is handled at the really low layers. But from a practical standpoint, what we're really talking about is different bandwidths or different data rates that we can support here. Now, let's just take a look at the different versions, and you can see the very first version was 802.11a, and that supported data rates all the way up to 54 megabits per second. At the time, we weren't supporting multiple input, multiple output streams. So you could do 54 megabits per second, so there wasn't multiple streams or what's sometimes called channel bonding. You'll also see that there are different modulation schemes, and the modulation scheme has to do with how the data is actually sent through the air over this different frequency. It has to do with how the carrier signal is modulated in order to carry the data. So we've got A, which was released in September of 1999. B was also released in September of 1999. You'll see there's a difference there because 802.11b only supported up to 11 megabits per second. You'll also notice that 802.11a was really in the 5 gigahertz range, where B was in the 2.4 gigahertz range. Now, G came out in 2003. Now we're back to supporting 54 megabits per second over the 2.4 gigahertz range of frequencies. Then in 2009, we get 802.11n, and that supports multiple input-output channels. And the more channels you get, the more bandwidth you can support. So you can see here that we can support up to 135 megabits per second. Now, in December of 2013, we've got 802.11ac, and that is on the 5 gigahertz frequency. And you can see that we've got much higher bandwidth and much higher data rate capabilities. With 802.11ac, we can support 780 megabits per second. So we're really closing in on the gigabit range for our wireless networks. So with the different versions of the 802.11 protocol, you can see we've got some different capabilities. So some of them are on the 2.4 gigahertz, some of them are on the 5 gigahertz. You've got different bandwidth ranges or capabilities for the different versions. You've got different ranges. There's different modulations up until we standardized on OFDM in 802.11, and then that carried through into 802.11ac. But really, the thing that most people are going to be interested in is how much data can we push through this wire. Now, there are a lot of different factors that go into determining how much data you can push through, including how many collisions you're going to have and how much overlap there is with signals for nearby wireless networks. But when it comes right down to it, the more recent version of 802.11 that you've got and are using, the more bandwidth you're probably going to be able to push, in part because they start supporting multiple channels simultaneously for each individual station or client, so that you can do what we've called channel bonding in other scenarios. You can really support much, much higher bandwidth capabilities.